Hey, you in the back, pay attention. I'm going to show you how to keep your audience engaged and interested in your next presentation. Hi, I'm Rico Nasol. I'm a creative executive, entrepreneur, and leadership coach. I know how it feels to be bored out of your mind. Trust me, I've been through it too. But don't worry, I'm here to help. Whether you're giving a presentation to your boss, teaching a class, or even in a job interview, engaging your audience is key to maintaining their attention and their interest, and make sure that they hear what you're saying. I'm going to give you 4 tips that will help keep your audience engaged. So let's get into it. Start off with a bang. Get your audience's attention with a personal story, a joke, something that will get their blood pumping and get their interest right off the bat. So whether it's a presentation or a pitch, it's going to be super important for you to capture that audience's attention right from the start. Start strong, get them excited, and then that's how you reel them in. One way to do this is to start with an exciting story or some joke that you have. Whatever it is, make it interesting so they're invested in the story. Of course, not just any story will do. I tend to use something that's more personal, so like related to myself, but that's also interesting and funny. An example here: if you're in a room full of Filipinos, maybe you open your story about discounts. I'm Filipino, so I can say that. Phenomenally Asian. So maybe that's a bad example, but if you can start off strong, you'll be one step closer to delivering a successful presentation or successful speech. So next time you're standing in front of that audience or writing and putting together and crafting your presentation, remember to start off with a bang. Number 2 is make it personal. Using personal stories and examples illustrate your points and then make them relatable to you. So it's just like when you want to be authentic in your storytelling or authentic in how you present yourself, personal stories and personal anecdotes help make that more tangible. It reminds the audience that we're human. So like, after all, we've all been through different things. We've all been embarrassed before. We've all been in love before. We've all been frustrated before. So telling a story that ties into your presentation that relates to the points you're trying to make will only make it land that much better. And by sharing stories from our own lives, it helps us connect and show vulnerability, so the audience can understand us as people too, and maybe they went through the same thing, right? So like, it's again being more relatable. It also helps them understand your point of view. So not only being relatable, but understanding your point of view. So an example I always use, right, is like, I'm really into music, and not only was I a band geek in high school, I was the top band geek. I was a drum major. So when I tell that story and I'm talking to folks that are like into music, they can relate, right? Like if they might have been a band geek or they knew the drum major, and the drum major, I was the total band geek, the top band geek. So I like using that as an example that people can relate to, but also it shows that I'm a little vulnerable, like I'm a geek. And as an added bonus, the personal story makes our speeches more just fun and engaging and more natural sounding. So next time you're giving a presentation, don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to get personal. Your audience will thank you for it. Number 3, the use of visual aids. This probably goes without saying, but if you're presenting, don't just present walls of text. That's not going to help anybody. You can just read walls of text. You might as well just hand out a book. But use charts, graphs, graphics, GIFs, anything that makes your presentations more visually appealing, and then that catches people's attention and makes your talking points more memorable. I love GIFs. They're magic. And let's face it, most of us would rather watch a show than read a textbook. So when it comes to remembering information, most people are visual people, so visual aids are way more effective than, say, text on a page. See? You'll remember that one. So next time you're putting together a presentation, spend a little extra time on the visual representation. So again, look at some graphs, graphics, charts. GIFs are always good ones. Video if you have it. but make sure you're using something that can visually stimulate people and get people excited. Music also helps. So that will keep people more engaged and interested also. And number 4, be interactive. Ask questions, solicit feedback, encourage dialogue throughout the presentation. I always like to say, like, this is a discussion. I don't like to talk at you. So if you have questions, interrupt me, raise your hand, whatever you need to do, because I want it to be interactive. I want it to be a discussion. That kind of natural conversation makes it much easier and also more welcoming for people to raise their hand and for discussion to naturally happen. When you don't do that, oh man, presentations get so boring and you start to fall asleep, and that becomes a snooze fest. You don't want that. You don't want that. Man, like I said, also, nobody wants to be talked at for an hour to kind of sit through either PowerPoint or a Google template slides where you just literally just change the words and use the same images. It's like when you get the frame from the store and then you leave the picture you bought it with in it. Nobody wants to see that. So that's why it's important to be interactive, engage your audience, ask them interesting questions, like specifically to the topic that you're talking about. Worst comes to worst, you can always ask, like, raise your hands if you're still paying attention. You, like that, even that question, like, raise your hands if you're still paying attention, will get a few laughs and get people more engaged. Hopefully you don't have to resort to that, but like, if you need to, you can use that one. That one's for free. And also, the soliciting feedback part, maybe not during, but after, it opens you up and then lets them know that you're open to feedback and like wanting to get better and know that, you're not perfect. It creates a sense of community that people can give and receive feedback openly. And it also gives them the opportunity to, talk critically about even your material. Maybe they can help you make your presentation better, the format, improve the format, some of the talking points. Like, it's good to ask for feedback. So that's it. 4 simple tips to really keep your audience engaged during your next presentation. Follow these guidelines, practices, or whatever you want to call it, and you'll be wowing these audiences in no time. Or, do you have tried and true methods for engaging audiences? If you do, definitely comment below. I'd love to hear some of your strategies and techniques. We can share it with the rest of the community. And don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, the whole 9. If you want more great content like this, subscribe, and then it'll send directly to your device. I'll bid you adieu. Happy presenting. We'll see you next time.